Hey folks, welcome to the Content Creation Masterclass. Today, I'm super excited to dive into this with all of you. So we're going to be going through a lot of different things here today, but the biggest thing is actually understanding how content can get you clients. And I want to make sure that you folks are taking notes on this. So if you have something like a pad, like something like this, make sure you're taking some notes here today. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and walking you through number one, how to create the right type of content, what it looks like, how it can work in your business, and all those good things. So let's get this rocking and rolling. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen shared. And then we're going to be walking you through exactly how to make sure your content is getting you clients. So, that being said, let me open this up for you folks. So, basically, content creation is one of those things that everyone knows they need to do, but a lot of people are doing it and not getting results. And they're like, why does everyone talk about content creation if I'm not getting results from it? And it's because for most people, they're not doing it the right way. So, let's go ahead. I'm going to walk you through exactly this. So, we're going to be talking about how to create, repurpose, and scale content that drives more followers, leads, and sales. Because if your content isn't actually driving results, it's kind of just a waste of time, okay? And so we want to make sure that it's actually producing results for you. So let's dive into this for you folks. So we're going to be talking about a couple different things, but the first thing I want to go through is actually the mindset that makes content work. Because believe it or not, you as a human need to create the content. And if you don't have the proper mindset going into content creation, it often just falls flat. It doesn't get you followers, it doesn't get you leads, it doesn't get you sales. So let's talk about a couple different things here before we get into the technical part of the training. So number one, quantity creates quality, okay? This is so important. Don't chase perfection. Chase consistency, okay? At the end of the day, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to post because like I'm not good at it. When were you ever good at something without putting the reps in? You're only going to get better at content by doing it more. I often say that B minus content posted consistently beats out A plus content posted sporadically. Okay? So you need to just get content out there. When I look at my content that I posted starting 10 years ago, it was awful, but it's the only way that I've gotten to where our content's actually pretty good and it gets us leads, it gets us followers, it gets us clients. And it was because I just didn't quit. In fact, the more reps you get in quicker, the quicker you're going to get good results. I often tell people, like, they're like, oh, well, maybe I'll only post like once a day. I'm like, you can post once a day. That's fantastic. Start there. But if you want to get really good at content, post more often. Because the more you do it, the better you get at it. Now, the second thing is create, don't consume. Okay? You're on social media to build a business, not to scroll. Okay? You want to be creating content. Now, the only caveat here is that we will talk about this a little bit. Consume content that actually inspires you or gives you more ideas of what other content you can create. There is such a thing as very tasteful consumption of content if it has a purpose. If it's just a doom scrolling, you're not going to really be getting lots of inspiration out of that, okay? So make sure that you are creating, not just consuming. Now, the other thing I want to talk about here, specificity wins, okay? We talk about this all the time, but at the end of the day, a specialist will always get paid better than a generalist. And someone who actually creates specific content is going to get more specific people reaching out to them. I was actually creating a training for our clients yesterday on their niche and ideal client avatar. And I was talking about how you need to make sure that you're calling out your ideal client. If you create content for everyone, it'll be shown to no one. There is a reason right now that the accounts on Instagram that are growing the fastest right now are the most niched accounts. And so make sure that your content is very specific, okay? So specificity wins. If you're not sure about how to make your content more specific, you can feed your content to ChatGPT and be like, hey, my ideal client is this person, this demographic, this pain point, whatever it might be. How can I make my content more specific for them? Make sure you do that. And the number four here is just every post is 1% better. Okay. Momentum over mastery, because momentum and small amounts of consistency every single day will create that masterful content. Okay. It's similar to the whole quantity creates quality. You need to make sure that every single day when you're creating content, you're just trying to do a little bit better. It doesn't have to be like go from zero to hero kind of content. Just do a little bit better. Maybe the visuals a little bit better. Maybe your audio is a little bit better. Maybe the lighting's a little bit better. So the only way to get good at content is by doing a lot of content. It's the same thing if you wanted to do anything in life. If you wanted to be a really great runner, guess what you're gonna have to do a lot of? Run. If you want it to be great in your relationship, what do you have to do? Spend a lot of time like communicating in a relationship. You only get better by doing stuff. Okay. So I want to make sure that the stuff I get to you today is a great framework. It's a great way of creating content. It's a great strategy. However, if you're not doing it a lot and you're not getting better at it, it's not going to work for you. So make sure that you get this right first. Let's go to the next part of the training here. Okay. So okay, here we go. So I'm going to go to the next slide here and talk about basically the different types of content. Your business runs on content, okay? The whole idea of actually social media, it's based around content. Like if you think of any platform, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, what's the main medium? It's content. Okay, so content is absolutely critical. It's absolutely important for you, but you need to make sure you're creating the right type of content because I've had so many health professionals come to me and be like, I post content. I'm not getting followers. I post content. I'm not getting leads. I post content. I'm not getting sales. So we want to make sure that you actually have content that is specific for these different things. So let me walk you through it. So number one, we're going to be talking about audience growth content, okay? The whole purpose of audience growth content is to reach new people, grow your visibility, and get people to come over to your side of the world, your profile, and follow you. Okay, that's the whole point of it. And I'll be going through some examples of this. That's the first thing. If you're not getting followers from your content, something's wrong. The second thing is you want to have content that nurtures and connects with people. Sometimes I talk about like lead generation content, right? This is going to build trust and relatability with people because we all know that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And so you can get people to follow you, but if you can't get people to know, like, and trust and connect with you, they're not going to buy from you. In fact, I've had people who had 100,000 followers join our program, and guess what? They weren't making sales because they were great at audience growth content. They didn't know how to nurture people. They didn't know how to connect. They didn't know how to build that know, like, and trust. And so that's what we're going to be talking about is the second type of content. The third and final type is conversion and sales, okay? This is really big. If people don't know you have a program, if you're not actually promoting yourself, if you're not actually promoting your offers or what you do or who you do it for, you're not going to get any clients, okay? So conversion and sales content, it warms up leads, it handles objections, it drives action actually. It should drive people to do something. And this is what I said earlier on in the training is that your content should actually be seen in how many followers you get and how many leads you get and how many sales you get. If you're not getting those three things, your content isn't doing its job, okay? And I often like to talk about this as well. If sales feels really hard, it's usually not a sales problem, it's a content problem, okay? This is really important. A lot of people are like, I have a lot of sales calls, but people aren't buying. It's often because you didn't warm them up enough with your content. It's because your content didn't do the leg work that it should be doing, okay? So content amplifies every other strategy, right? Like if you're having conversations with people in the DMs, if you're having sales calls, like whatever you're doing, better content makes it easier. So that's why we always want to be working on the content, okay? So let's talk about these and let's get a little bit specific. And I'm going to really even get specific into how you should be structuring your content, but I wanted to get a little bit more specific here, okay? So the core four, your complete content ecosystem. Audience growth. The purpose of this is reach and visibility. Now, I'm going to be talking about specifically Instagram strategies here, just because to be completely honest with you, our health professionals that we're working with right now, Instagram is where it's at. That's where we're just seeing some incredible stuff working really well. So right now, the stuff that's working really well as far as audience growth is Instagram Reels, okay? Number one, Instagram Reels are doing incredibly well right now, and viral hooks, okay? This is what's working best right now organically for people to get new followers coming in. Now, I will put a little caveat here, okay? Audience growth right now, a lot of you, if you're watching this training, you might have heard me talk about our mini ad strategy as well, which is how we boost organic content to get followers. And that's honestly our main way of getting audience right now because it's just the easiest way where you pay $5 to $10 a day, you get 100 followers coming in a week. So right now we do audience growth organically, but also we really tell people like you need to be also spending a little bit of money to boost and get some like of those followers coming in. I'm not going to go crazy in depth on that, but if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can hit me up after this. Now, we also want to have connection content, okay? So connection content here is more about storytelling, behind the scenes stuff. Because people on social media, there's just so many accounts, okay? There's so many business coaches, there's so many health professionals, there's so many relationship coaches. You need to show people behind the scenes, share your story, because what that does is it gets people to connect with you more than they would connect with someone else. If someone relates to you more than they relate to a different, let's say, health coach, and they're selling a similar service, they're going to buy from the person that they feel most connected to. And so this is a really important piece of the puzzle because in our day and age, there is a lot of online coaches. There's a lot of professionals online, practitioners, whatever it might be. You want to know how to connect with people better so that you can get more clients. We want now commitment content. This inspires small actions. If you have ever promoted any type of like freebie, we call them value pieces. Commitment content is incredible because it gets people to take a first step of commitment, okay? Before someone's gonna buy your program, which is a big step of commitment, the small step of commitment is grabbing a freebie from you, okay? So you need to have content that gets people to like comment or download this or send me a message for this. You wanna have content that does that. And then we have conversion content, right? So this is like testimonials or social proof or where you're actually sharing, hey, this is who we help, this is our program, this is how it works. If you would like to get support with this, like comment down below or apply with our link in our bio, whatever it is. But this drives decisions, okay? And authority should run through every single piece. The other thing I'm going to say here about content is like if people don't see you as being the leader and having the authority to actually talk about the subject matter, they're not going to believe you. So, which is why I mean, in our content, we talk a lot about the results our clients are getting, the results that we're getting. We talk a lot about these different things because we want to showcase that, hey, we've done all of this for a long time. We've been doing this for 10 years now, and we know what we're talking about. That allows your authority to run through all of it because people want to follow a leader. They want to follow a mentor or a guide or a coach who's further ahead than them. So make sure that that's happening. Your content should take people from not knowing you to now trusting you to then buying from you. Okay? That's the whole idea behind this. So let's get into like the actual tangible aspects of this, folks. So we're going to talk about the structure of great content and how to create content that actually stops the scroll and actually sparks action. Okay? So in content, there's always these like three different elements, right? We have basically the hook, which stops people's attention. Then we have the main body, which then delivers on the hook. And then we have what's next for these people. Okay, so there's these three phases. The hook needs to make people stop scrolling. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but there is a lot of times that I'm just scrolling on social media because the content's just boring, it's bland, it's beige, it's not that good. So we need to get someone hooked in. But your hook not only has to be creative and stop the scroll, but it also needs to be relevant to your ideal client and to what your content's going to be about, okay? The first 3 seconds determine if your post gets read or watched or skipped. And the best content creators spend 90% of their time in content creation on the hook. Because the truth is, if no one watches your video or reads your post, it's not even worthwhile to put it out there. Literally, if you post content and no one's stopping to read or watch it, what was the point of it? So you want to spend a lot of time on your hook. Now, there's a lot of things that you want to do here, but I want to start by this. Avoid overproduced or salesy hooks. You want to go straight into the value, okay? Because what has happened a lot is as people have gotten better at hooks, people are now seeing it as clickbait, right? They're seeing it as like, oh, this person's just trying to get my attention. And that kind of turns people off. What I mean by going straight into the value is go straight into actually helping them in a creative way. Instead of saying, hey, if you're an online coach who wants to hit 6 figures, say, my favorite way to hit 6 figures was, and going into it, right? It's a different hook, okay? It's not actually like, basically, people are used to the whole like, hey, if you're this type of person, they're used to that, they're scrolling. You want to go straight into stuff, okay? Now, also, here's a big thing. Hooks are big on the visual, especially on Instagram. The visual of what comes across the feed is absolutely important. I was talking to one of the people who works on our team this morning, and they were talking about how one of the clients within our program right now got 175 new followers in the last 4 days. And I was like, okay, show me the post that they made. And it was this really creative post where this person literally, they slid across their desk while they were saying something, and we then boosted the post. But because they had this very capturing, like engaging visual of them like sliding across and saying something, it was very like, oh, what's going on? It got a lot of people to stop, and it got them almost 200 followers in 4 days. And so you want to make sure, like, sometimes it can be quirky or funny or like interesting, but make sure more than anything, it's something that's going to just stop people. And you got a couple different ways to do this, okay? So, and I'm going to go through a little bit more of this, but basically you have a couple different things. You have the visual, like in a video, you have like, this is the visual. Like I'm in the visual right now. You also have like the text that you could put on the screen. You also have the words that you say. You also have the music, right? You have all of these different elements. And if you go find viral videos or videos that like actually make people stop scrolling, they will have all four of those elements dialed in. They'll have the visual of them dialed in. They'll have text on the screen that's clear and pronounced and targeted. They'll be saying something right off the bat that gets your attention. And oftentimes they'll also have some type of music that will go alongside with it. That's how you craft a really incredible hook, okay? So hooks that sound conversational perform better than scripted intros. Kind of what I was talking about as far as like don't go overproduced. Now, what makes you stop scrolling isn't necessarily always what makes your ideal client stop scrolling. So what you want to do, you want to do some market research, okay? You want to research your competitors and see what's working well in your industry, in your space. What hooks, what words, what phrases, what visuals are working well for your ideal clients. Do a little bit of research. It's not hard to literally go on Instagram, go to the search tab, type in endometriosis, or maybe it's holistic nutrition, or maybe it's perimenopause, whatever it is. And you can literally look at, okay, which reels are going viral with these keywords, and you can study them. Like it's so easy to go and just study them. So anyways, I'm going to stop with the hook, but the hook is what gets people to start watching. Now, here's a big mistake a lot of people make. I'm going to the reward here, which is how you actually deliver what you're going to be talking about in your content. If your delivery is not congruent with your hook, people move on. Or if it's not as good as your hook made it sound, they move on. So you need to make sure that when you're going through and you're actually delivering on your content, that number one, it's congruent with your hook and people are actually getting the value that they thought they'd be getting from it. What you don't want is to like overpromise in the hook, under deliver in the value. Okay? So you want to make sure that because when people see a hook and they go to watch more content or read more, if it's really good and of the same topic that they thought it was going to be, they will keep on reading. Okay? Basically, you tease them in the hook being like, hey, if you want this value, keep going. You then need to deliver on that value. Okay? So basically, the post should make them say, hey, that's so me. That's exactly what I needed. Again, specificity matters here. You want to teach, you want to inspire, you want to relate. You want to use story, emotion, or transformation to make your message land, okay? So here's a couple examples of like reward posts, like 3 ways to grow your audience without ads, or the mistake I made that cost me 6 months of growth, a client story that shows what's possible, and then going into it and going in depth. I often see people holding back because they're like, I don't want to give all my value on social media. I just want to give it to my clients. Over delivering your content, people can find all the information in your program on YouTube and Google and ChatGPT. Your program is not the thing that's going to cause people to necessarily want to buy from you. It's you, the accountability you give, and how you can support them. Okay? So over delivering your content, over deliver in this middle part of the training. And then the last piece here is the action and shift, okay? We need to inspire movement or reframe a belief because like I said, literally at the beginning of this training, if your content doesn't make people do something different or think differently, it wasn't worth posting. For business anyways, you can post for fun. I mean, posting for fun is fun. But if you actually want business results, we need to inspire movement or a shift of belief, okay? So the goal isn't always to do a call to action. Sometimes it's a belief shift, but oftentimes I see people doing way too little of call to actions. So a couple different things here. So belief shifting is you can change how someone sees their problem or what's possible for them. You can inspire them to comment, save, or simply think differently. But I love to just probably 70 to 80% of the time, I am having call to actions to freebies that I have, to workshops that I'm going to be running, to my program, whatever it is. I want a next step for someone because a lot of people, they get into your hook, they get the delivery, and then guess what? they're thinking, what do I do next? What's the next thing for me? What can I do to get these results that this person talked about? What can I do to like actually improve my life like this person's talking about they help someone else with? They want to know what's next. So direct them very clearly. I often find on Instagram anyways, on posts, it's best to get people to comment something. And in your Instagram stories, it's best to get people to DM you something. Okay. Those are the things that have worked best for me and for most of the health professionals that we work with on social media. So not every post needs to have a call to actions, but I would say 3/4 of your posts should have call to actions to a freebie, a workshop, whatever it might be, even to your program. So make sure that this is how you're structuring your content. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about here today actually is I wanted to talk actually about repurposing content because here's the truth. A lot of people are like, "Oh, like I like create content, but I never reuse it." Which is one of the biggest ways out there. You could create so much more content if you actually learned how to multiply it and repurpose it. So I'm going to get you actually to understand how we do this, and you can do this in your own business as well, okay? So the first thing is how do you turn one idea into many pieces of content? So this is actually exactly how we do this in our business. We share basically one core thought or rant, we call it, and then we multiply it. Oftentimes, I'll come up with a thought. Let's say I'll post on Facebook, I'll post something to the effect of like, um, if you're not willing to spend $10 a day on an Instagram strategy, it's going to be very hard to grow your audience and you might not get any clients. Maybe I'll just post like a rant or a thought like that. Then what happens, and this is my team does this, but you can do this for now, is you can take that rant and you can turn it into an Instagram quote. You could throw it into Canva. You can then take that same idea and you can create a reel around it. You could then, off of the reel, you could create a carousel around it. You could then put it in email. You could then put it in Instagram stories. You can take the same idea and multiply it again and again and again and again. This is such an easy way to do it because guess what? Your ideal clients want to keep on seeing your content. They want to see your ideas. And so you sharing the same thing again and again is not a bad thing actually. It's actually a good thing. People are more likely to build trust with you if they see similar messaging again and again and again in your content, okay? So here's a good example, right? So the rant is, it's not alignment if you still aren't getting clients. The quote post, I'd have like bold text on yellow background with your handle. Reel, record yourself explaining why people confuse alignment with avoidance. Carousel, break down 3 reasons people aren't getting clients. Email, turn into a short story about your own experience, right? This is just a great example of where you could be actually doing more. A lot of people who are like, I'm running out of content ideas. I'm like, go like look at your content that you've already done. Recreate that in a different format. People want to see that content again and again. The second way to do this is to repurpose old winners, okay? Every single week, we look at the last couple of weeks of our content and we take the winners, whether it's posts, carousels, reels, whatever it is, and basically we repost our top performing content with a new design or a new caption. Or sometimes on Instagram, we just throw them into the trial reels as well. If you're not using trial reels, you definitely should because it's just free marketing. So you're going to repost some of your stuff. And maybe you just change some things. You slightly edit them. We actually do this whole strategy with ads as well. We have ads that are performing well. We literally just copy and paste them and change one little thing and we push them out again. This is how you can take old winners that are actually working well and make sure that they're actually going to be performing well for you. You can update the hook, you can add new visuals or record it as like a new video. And this is one of Terry's tips. Terry's my wife. We run the business together. So we recycle content constantly. Nobody notices it and it always performs better the second time. It's crazy. Oftentimes, it performs better the second time we post it, which doesn't seem logical, but it's actually why I think more people need to be repurposing content, okay? So mindset shift, your content isn't disposable. It's a digital asset that gains value the more you use it. You shouldn't think about I post once and then I never utilize that creative or that caption or that content again. You should use it again because guess what? You spend time on that. And if it's good and it performs well, it gives you followers, leads, or sales, you want to be doing more of that, okay? So make sure that you're doing this. Now, you can also build this out in a system. This takes a little bit of time, but it's well worthwhile. You can keep a Google Sheet or a Notion board of your high performing posts, right? You can have your links there. Then you want to track, okay, what topics worked well, what formats worked well, what date, what platform, engagement, okay? And then what you can do is you can also like batch edit and schedule once per week using tools like CapCut and Canva. Like we use a lot of tools. Canva for a lot of like the visuals, carousels, stuff like that. CapCut, we're using a lot for our videos right now. We're starting to use the Edits app, which is by Instagram as well. It's pretty good as well. And then basically, as far as repurpose by category, think about repurposing content that's educational, social proof, story, or mindset. This is a big thing. Repetition builds recognition. Recognition builds trust. Trust builds conversions. If you've noticed, if you follow big creators, you'll often notice that they post similar stories throughout the week. I mean, there's a guy I follow that every single morning posts a photo of him working out with the same quote. And he has a couple million followers. And like he's built this recognition because he's consistent and he's actually repeating stuff. And that's where I think a lot of creators go wrong. They always think they have to create new, when oftentimes you should be repeating yourself, you should be repurposing, you should be multiplying your efforts and seeing that actually works better. So this is something that I want you folks to work on. So let's go through this. How we create efficiently, and I want to make sure that you folks are all getting a lot of value out of this here today. So we use the tools, like I said, CapCut Pro, it edits it really nice and fast. We use a little bit of the edits as well, and Canva Pro, okay? We are usually editing 7 to 10 reels in 1 hour because we've built it out in such an efficient way. A lot of people take way too long to edit and all these different things, and it's because number one, they haven't put enough repetition into it to get good at it, but number two, they're just not using the proper tools. Make sure that your branding is consistent, right? Like for us, we have impact yellow, slate gray, alpine white. Have your colors that you use like in your carousels or in your logos and all those different things. And visibility over aesthetics. Okay, this is a big thing on Instagram. So many people, when they put writing on the screen or whatever it is, like it's over the borders, it's like behind the like button, it's below the caption. Make sure that it's in the right format. Make sure that it's readable, make sure that people can actually understand it. Because when I look at a lot of people's content, it's just like, it's not easily digestible. And then people are going to move on. So make sure it's readable and clear. And then always collect B-roll. This is really a great tip that we have. Just collect B-roll of you in your life, doing your thing, being the coach, being the health professional, whatever it is. And you can utilize that in B-roll content, in your stories, whatever it is, okay? So I want to make sure that you folks are committing to creating consistent content. This is the biggest thing here. If you're not going to be creating consistent content, it's going to be very hard to grow your business. And it's going to be very hard to actually get even good at content if you're not creating consistently. And make sure that you're repurposing your content weekly. Like I said, either use our multiplication, where you actually take one content idea and it multiplies into many, or you're repurposing old winners. This is going to allow every single post you have, it could either be completely repurposed in a slightly different way, or it can be multiplied into different formats. It allows your content to go further, and you don't have to always be in that creative space. Being in the creative space is great, but sometimes you dry up as far as ideas go. So, and you want to build your audience of one. It all comes down to this, specificity and making sure that it actually works out for you. Okay, folks? So that's the training for today, folks. So I wanted to make sure that you are all getting all the value here. Now, here's the thing. If you are at a place of where you're wanting to get help with your content, with getting clients, with growing your Instagram following and all those different things, I would love for you folks to book in a free call with our team. We can walk you through exactly looking over your content, seeing where the holes are, seeing why you're not getting the followers, leads, and sales, and help you understand the strategies that we have that would benefit you in getting more clients. So if that is you, you can go ahead and obviously book in a free call with the team. This is a no pressure call. We're not going to be like grabbing your credit card from you. This is just so that you can have an expert looking at yourself and seeing if we can support you with this. So if you folks want that, you can go ahead and click the link down below here. Now, that being said, folks, we're going to be moving into a Q&A. So if you got any questions, you can go ahead and comment them down below.